All right, hello and welcome to today's video where we are going to be talking about the very important concept, which is the reality that you do not owe everybody all of you, okay? You do not owe everybody your authenticity. You do not owe everybody your full story. You do not owe everybody your effort and your time and your energy. You do not owe the world that is suffering constantly a perpetual involvement in absolutely everything that's happening. It is not your job to solve other adults' problems. It is not your job to give all of your gifts to everyone at all times like rainbow fish. All of these ideas are things that on one level, when taken in context and when done with a sense of balance, can be very healthy, okay? Sharing who we are authentically, connecting with people on a one-to-one level from a heart space, right? From our truth. That's very important. Giving where we can give, helping people, being a part of community in the terms of your family, your friends, your coworkers, local community, being part of the greater community and offering what you can offer and giving what you can give in that way. These are all great things. These are all healthy things. I am not telling you not to do those things. What I am saying is that this can very quickly go out of balance and go into the realm of extremes where we are causing ourselves damage and where we are not actually benefiting the world around us the way we're being told that we are. And it is this balance of understanding that we do not live in a perfect world where it is safe for all of us to be our most authentic, genuine selves all the time. We do not live in a perfect world where giving of our resources and giving of our time and our energy and our compassion is always helpful, is always actually productive, is always going to lead to a better outcome than if we didn't. And we need to be able to recognize that so that we can give where it is important to give, where we can be authentic where it is important to be authentic, where we can be generous where it is important to be generous, without overdoing it and without doing it in places where it is not safe and it is not helpful. Okay? This talk that we are going to have today is about coming into reality. It's about aligning ourselves with what is actually true in real reality in terms of what is supportive, what is healthy, what is actually going to make this world a better place and make your world a better place versus what is going to be harmful and what is religious indoctrination a lot of the time, cultural indoctrination a lot of the time, that is leading to destruction. So, if you are one of these people who has ingested and digested and swallowed the message that, number one, you're not experiencing the life you want to be experiencing because you're not showing up as your full, authentic self all the time. If you have taken in the message that if you are aware of someone's suffering, whether that be an individual in your life, someone you actually know, someone on the planet, a group of people on the planet, that then makes you responsible and that you need to participate in that, you need to do something about that. If you have been conditioned that that is reality, that you owe the world every single time you become aware of an issue, if you have been conditioned to believe that you owe your gifts and your talents and the things that make you special and the things you have to offer to everyone at all times, whenever they want it, however they want it, this talk is for you. If you feel guilty for not involving yourself in every cause, if you feel like you are never doing enough at your job, with your friends, with your partners, with your family, if you constantly feel like you are not living up to what you should be in terms of what you're giving and what you're doing, this talk is for you. Because those narratives and those thoughts and the horrible feelings that come with all of that are out of alignment with reality. Okay? So let's start from the top and work our way down. You are not experiencing the life you want to be living because you aren't being authentic enough. That's myth number 1 that we're going to break today. The idea that being your authentic self to everyone at all times is going to lead you to all of your perfect relationships, to your perfect vocation, to your perfect living conditions, to wealth, health, success, and freedom, is a complete oversimplification of how reality actually works. It's a complete spiritual bypass of actual, true fact and how our systems actually work and how the systems of the world actually work. Okay? First thing to understand, we do not live in a world that celebrates or rewards authenticity. To think that that is reality, to think that we are living in a culture that actually supports human beings in being their real selves, is to be completely confused about the reality of the culture we're living in. Our culture, for the most part, celebrates the exact opposite. This is why so many of us have such a hard time connecting to our authentic selves. Because our culture teaches us that being authentic is wrong, bad, and shameful. Most of us, right, the work that I do on a daily basis with people, the main thing that I work with people on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour basis, is the shame, blame, and guilt that people are walking around with about who they are fundamentally. This is the root of all feelings of inadequacy, of all violence, of all belief in separation, of all harm that we do to ourselves and to others. This idea that who we are authentically is a problem to be fixed. That who we are authentically, what we are learning, what our life path looks like right now, the things we have been through, the things we have done, the mistakes we have made, the idea that all of that is and was wrong on some level and is the reason you need to fix yourself and be constantly engaging in self-help and self-growth and personal growth and self-improvement, and why you cannot express yourself and why you can't ever be honest with anyone about yourself. That myth is the core root of why we have so much of the pain that we have on this planet. Yes? And our culture teaches us to forever be in that state of self-suppression, denial, shame, blame, and guilt, believing that we are fundamentally bad, wrong, and broken, and believing that the pain we are experiencing in life is because there is something fundamentally wrong with who we are. That is what our culture teaches us. And our culture celebrates people who are able to not feel their emotions. Our culture celebrates people who are willing to bend over backwards to fit in with and go along with trends and what's popular right now and what's selling right now and what's considered beautiful right now, what's considered successful right now. Our culture teaches us that at all times and in all places, we must look like we are healthy, wealthy, and young. That is not authentic. That is not authenticity. The wealthiest people on our planet are not the most authentic, connected to their humanity, human beings. The most successful people, as in the people that we deem successful, who have the most amount of money and the most amount of power and the most amount of control, are the least authentic human beings we have on our planet. They are the ones who have learned, like I said, to shut down their humanity, to shut down their feelings, to shut down their emotions, to never listen to their bodies. All the messages that are telling them that what you're doing is harmful and destructive and chaotic and causing pain. That is who our culture celebrates. People who fit in. People who go along with trends. And where does that come from? The people in power celebrating the people who sell the shit that those people in power have to sell. Right? The people who have the most success on this planet are the ones who can sell products the best through selling the idea that eating what they eat and wearing what they wear and doing what they do and following their morning routine and la 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 will make you healthy, wealthy, and rich. These are the things that our culture values. And our culture tells us that the root of all of our problems is that we are consuming the wrong things or producing the wrong things. That there's something fundamentally wrong with us. That we can't consume the right things. We don't have enough money or wealth or health or status to have the right things. Or that we're not working hard enough and doing enough to produce the right things. You see how this is all connected? So we all feel like shit about ourselves because we're being told that the reason we're not healthy, wealthy, and young is because we're not consuming and producing the right things. And that comes down to some sort of fundamental flaw with who we are as a human being. And that turns us into people who cannot connect with our emotions, who cannot connect with our feelings. We don't connect with our humanity. We're stuck in cycles of shame, blame, and guilt and trying to fix ourselves when really we're reacting and responding to an unhealthy culture. So now to go into the manifestation, self-help, personal growth world. And here, if you're just your authentic self, if you just tell your story, if you're just, bare it all and out there all the time, just showing who you really are, you're going to be attracting success. Is comical if it wasn't so harmful. Right? It's literally the whole be yourself but not like that. Be yourself but not that way. Right? The people who show their authenticity, they show the hard things, they show the real things. They're not doing it in an authentic way. Generally speaking, for the most part, they're doing it in a, this is what's socially acceptable right now. Right? Like we are living in an age where people's authenticity is being used as a sales tactic. right? Like, it's not people being authentic that's actually connecting us to them. It's people pretending to be authentic, pretending to connect with us on a parasocial, emotional level, and then turning around and selling us something. We're authentic to the degree that it helps us push and sell whatever it is we're pushing and selling, so that we can be healthy, wealthy, and young looking. None of that has anything to do with authenticity. None of that has anything to do with actually being real. Right? People are constantly saying social media and influencers and days in my life and all that shit isn't real. And even I think the people who are trying to be authentic, there's just a limit, because this isn't how we interact. Like, this one-way communication where you know everything about me and I know nothing about you, that is not a relationship. That is not connection. That is not authentic. That's parasocial. That's, I'm going to feed into your pain points and make it look and sound like I understand you. So when I turn around and sell you something, you feel emotionally connected to me, and then you're going to buy what I'm selling. That's where that's coming from. Authenticity does not equal connection, love, support, finding your tribe, and becoming healthy, wealthy, and rich. Not in this world. So that is a delusion we need to stop pretending exists. And we need to understand that in real reality, what's usually going to happen when you start to embrace your real, true, authentic nature, you are going to start to realize just how much you don't fit into culture, just how much you struggle to keep up with what is normal and expected and what we should be doing as human beings. You are going to find that there are fewer people who connect with you on a real level, fewer people who resonate with who you are, fewer people who really get you. Not more people, less people. Because again, we are all so conditioned to be afraid of our emotions, to be afraid of our bodies, to be afraid of our feelings, to be afraid of learning and process and going through stuff. And everything is just shame and blame and guilt, and you should be different, and we're all trying to fix each other, or we're all like, whoa, that's too much. I don't want to do that because I can't do that for myself. I don't want to look at that because I don't know how to look at that in myself. When we're really being authentic, we are going to find that we are less attractive to more people. We will become more attractive to the people we actually resonate with. That is true. We will find people who actually resonate with who and what we are, that we can have a real connection with. We will find ways of making money that work for us. But we are not going to look and be and act how culture does. And in fact, like I say, we're usually going to find that we go in the opposite direction. So we need to be ready for that. We need to be prepared for that. We need to stop expecting that being authentic means everyone's going to love us and we're going to be healthy, wealthy, and young. No, we're going to be like the Velveteen Rabbit who gets loved real and their eye pops out and all their hair gets rubbed off. And real authenticity does not look manicured. It's not the vulnerable share that when we're crying into the camera, like that's not what it is. And even showing your vulnerability or your authenticity in a things that are working for you way. Things that are true for you. Right? Not like showing your struggles, but showing your successes and the things that work for you. You're going to find people tell you that's wrong. That's stupid. You shouldn't be doing that. That's fill in the blank disorder. You see? True authenticity is not going to lead to popularity. And most of us are terrified to be our true selves because facing that reality is so fucking scary for most of us. Realizing that we are going to have to go it alone, that we are going to have to learn to be on our own side even when other people aren't, that we are going to have to learn to listen to our own wisdom and our own guidance because there isn't always going to be someone there to help us figure it out who agrees with us, who doesn't just see us as a mess and wants to just push us back into what culture is doing, right? Like when we're struggling in being authentic, everyone's going to be like, just be normal. Just do normal. Just fix it by stop being weird. And if that's not what we need and that's not what we want and that's not what's actually going to heal us, right? It's going to just make us feel worse. But if we're so dependent upon being loved and accepted by people around us to feel secure, we're never going to be able to walk our authentic path. We're never going to be able to be our true selves. We're never going to get out of the shame, blame, and guilt that tells us that we're broken when people don't understand us, when we're in pain, when we're struggling, and people don't know how to help. Authenticity is the most counterculture thing you will ever do. It will make you more different. It will make you less like culture, less what our culture deems success, less acceptable and understood by most people. Because, like I say, true authenticity is actually unique. And what our culture celebrates is fitting in. You see? So please don't be sitting there blaming and shaming and guilting yourself that I'm not experiencing success and love and freedom because I'm not being authentic. Remember, the reason you're not being authentic is because you're afraid of being rejected. And you're afraid of being rejected for a good reason. Because in this world, you probably are going to be rejected. You probably have been rejected. That's how you learn to not be authentic in the first place. Because our culture does not celebrate authenticity. Our culture does not support authenticity. Our culture does not say authenticity is the way, let's all be authentic. Our culture says the opposite. And learning to be authentic to the degree that it is actually safe and reasonable for you means learning, hey Bubba, Marcus is here, learning how to accept going it alone sometimes, figuring things out on your own, realizing you have the capacity to figure things out on your own, realizing that you can be rejected and you can still be okay, learning how to problem solve. This is all that we teach in the mystery school and in my one-on-one coaching, is I teach you how to come into your adult perspective, where you can see that even if we're not loved by everybody, we can still be okay. We can still figure things out. We get all the tools we should have got as children for how to listen to reality through our bodies and our feelings and outcomes, instead of depending on the outside world to give us answers all the time, and believing that the way for that to happen is for us to be approved of, right? That's where most of us are living. I need to be loved, accepted, valued, and approved of so that other people will understand me, other people will understand my pain, and they will fix it for me because I don't know how to fix it. And we shift into a state of, okay, no, reality is talking to me. I have access. And it doesn't mean that that means we have to figure everything out on our own. It's also going to mean learning that we can be helped and supported by people who don't understand us. That imperfect love and imperfect safety that is helpful enough does exist. That again, we can learn from reality itself. We don't constantly need a teacher or someone outside of us. That when we are in pain, we can figure things out. We can ask questions. We can hire support. We can get support. We can find answers. We're not helpless. That is what's going to allow you to be more authentic. Because the more you are able to feel like you are not dependent upon the love, acceptance, approval, and understanding of others to help you feel supported and safe, and like if you have a problem, you can get out of it, you can figure it out, the safer you are going to feel to be yourself. Because like I said, being yourself is a risk. There is a good chance you will be rejected. There is a good chance you won't fit in. There is a good chance you will need something different than what culture says is right. And you got to be able to support yourself in that. That's what it takes to actually be able to be authentic in this world. And then it's going to be a balance, because for a lot of us, right, if we're being totally honest, we wouldn't work the way that our culture works. We just wouldn't. We wouldn't do half the things that you kind of have to do to survive in our world today. Right? If we were really being authentic, most of us are going to realize that these systems that we are living in are not designed to support actual human thriving. They are designed for maximum output of goods and maximum consumption of goods, for the benefit of those who control the means of operation. That's what our society is conditioned to do. That's the system. That's not a system of humanity. So learning how to be our authentic selves in this system, it's challenging. It's hard. It's not just be yourself and express your true self and everything will just magically appear to you. It's usually the opposite. And learning how to love and accept yourself and how to express yourself authentically and be okay with being rejected and be okay with not being understood by other people, and learning that you can still survive and figure things out and get your needs met, even though everyone doesn't love you all the time. That's a huge first step. And then learning how to do what you can to support your authentic self within a system that is constantly going to ask us to do things that aren't authentic to us. And realizing that we are constantly going to be finding that balance of what's worth the sacrifice and what isn't. Because we don't live in a perfect world that has a system designed around supporting humanity. If we did, none of us would be afraid to be authentic. We'd all be being our authentic selves all the time. So that's the big myth number one. Our culture does not support authenticity. And being your authentic self in our culture is a massive learning curve, and it requires great amounts of self-resourcing, of maturity, of healing our childhood traumas, and coming into our adult perspective, and learning how to learn from reality, and learning how to learn from pain and pleasure, and all this stuff we learn on the self-love path. Because being authentic in this world that is completely against authenticity is hard. Okay? Second myth. You do not owe everyone your authentic self. We do not live in a perfectly safe world where you can trust everybody with your truth all the time. I wish we lived in that world. I wish we lived in a world where all of us could just be fully honest about who and what we are, that we were conscious beings enough to understand that even harmful people, even people who are doing what are seemingly the worst things to us, are doing so because they're in pain and they misunderstand and they've been conditioned into an inhumane system, not because they are fundamentally flawed. I wish that we could understand enough about our own shame, blame, and guilt to see that that is always a lie, right? Shame, blame, and guilt are always lies. That's the first key to finding true reality. Everything we are doing is rooted in innocence on some level. No matter how nefarious it may look, no matter how harmful it might be, it's all rooted in trying to do what we can do, to keep ourselves safe the best we know how. And so if we could understand that, if we could get rid of the judgment that we are fundamentally flawed when we make mistakes or we cause harm or we're in pain, and then we could start to extend that to everyone, we would live in a world of rehab and teaching and supporting people in growing, not trying to get rid of people or tearing them down or attacking. Second thing, we would live in a world that's not designed around competition. We would be enlightened enough to realize that we are all going to go farther, better together. It is just how the laws of this universe that we are operating in work. Competition is killing us. So competition, again, is rooted in shame, blame, and guilt. It's rooted in this idea that being who I am is not safe, and that shame is being projected outward onto the people around us. We're either blaming ourselves for our pain, or we're saying, you are the cause of my pain because there's something wrong with you. And the only way for me to be safe on this planet is to dominate, to win against you, to be better than you. Right? Shame shows up in overt and covert. Overt shame, I am shitty, there's something wrong with me. Covert shame, I need to be better than you. I need to dominate you. I need to win against you. It's all still shame. There's something fundamentally flawed about human beings. And pain comes from there being something wrong with us, and we have to attack something. We have to fix something that's wrong with humanity. That's where all of this is coming from. Which means being our authentic selves around everybody is simply not safe. You do not owe your authentic expression to people who are going to shame you, to people who are going to blame you, to people who are going to tell you that there's something wrong with you fundamentally, to people who are going to tell you that the way you are expressing or what you're going through or what you're learning is wrong and bad and you shouldn't be here and you shouldn't be feeling that. You do not owe your authenticity to the people who are just going to tell you that you're broken, wrong, bad, and stupid, who are going to shame you for your choices, who are going to tell you that you're not good enough. Yeah? Please understand that. It is absolutely reasonable on this planet that we're living on right now, in the current state that it's in, with the current consciousness we have as human beings, to protect yourself from people who are only going to drive you deeper into blame, shame, and guilt. Be authentic around the people who can hold space for you. Be authentic around the people who genuinely have an interest in who you are, who are curious about you, who want to get to know you, who trust that there's nothing wrong with you and that you're going to figure things out. Be authentic with the people who are capable of handling your authenticity with grace. You are allowed to have walls and barriers and protections up against family members who just constantly misunderstand you. You are allowed to not share everything with everyone on the internet. You do not owe the world your shame stories. You do not owe the world your story. You don't owe the world telling them what you're going through right now. Right? And in fact, we really shouldn't be sharing that stuff with most people. When we are in the middle of a struggle, when we're in the middle of a crisis, when we're really going through something, when we're processing, accepting a new part of ourselves, and it's very tender, and we've had shame, blame, and guilt for a really long time, and now we're learning to love ourselves. When we're starting a new thing that's really exciting to us, but it's super new and it's super vulnerable, don't share that with everybody. Don't. Absolutely don't. You do not owe the world that. Wait until it's more solidified to share it with anyone who's going to judge you and shame you and criticize you and ridicule you. Speak to the people who are there to support you. And again, this does not mean never accept critical feedback. This does not mean that sometimes we're not totally off path and maybe someone can help us see that. Okay? That exists. But even in that, the people who are actually going to be able to give you that feedback are the people who actually know you and care about you. Not the people who are stuck in judgment and telling you what you should be and what you should be doing. Real critical feedback that you actually need, the stuff that is hard to hear, should come from the people who have built a rapport with you. Okay? Like in my one-on-one work with clients, we don't start off in the first 2 or 3 sessions with me calling people out on their stuff. I have not earned that right. We work for months a lot of the time, building trust, building the relationship where they know that I am not there to judge them. I am not there to tell them that what they're doing is right or wrong. I am not there to decide for them what their life should look like, how they should feel, what they should be doing. I am there to support them in figuring out for themselves what is right for them. I am there to support them in working through their shame, blame, and guilt so they can figure out what the truth is. And then when I am noticing patterns of self-destruction and chaos, I can come from a place of, how is this behavior helping you? What are the needs you're getting met through this? I see this unhealthy pattern. Where did this come from? And how can I support you in learning a new way of being that's going to feel and work better for the needs you're trying to get met? When I'm calling people out on their stuff, it's coming from a place of, I see you. You're trying to get your needs met. And the way you're going about it isn't working. Not because there's something wrong with you. Not because you're bad. Not because you're shameful. But because you're doing the best you can with what you have and what you've been given. So how do we reprogram? So you have upgraded tools and skills. That's what it should look like when someone who actually is capable of calling you out calls you out. They should be doing it from a place of seeing your innocence, seeing how you got to where you are, validating that, and then supporting you in finding tools that will work better. Or if we're like in intimate relationships and friendships and things like that, and we just get called out, someone's like, you're hurting me, you're doing this, that's going to happen, and that's legit, and we want to be able to take that feedback, especially when someone is saying that we're hurting them. And again, then we want to find somebody, if we can't do it for ourselves, to help us work through that by seeing our fundamental innocence, really realizing why we're causing the harm we're harming, what we're doing, why we have that habit, seeing that it's not because we're shitty fundamentally, and then getting new tools so we can behave differently. Your authentic self is sometimes immature and in need of growth and in need of new tools. That is real. That is authentic. But we need to be supported in that. Right? We don't need to be lectured into that. And in fact, being lectured and blamed and shamed is just going to drive us deeper. Okay? And then finally, you don't owe the world all of your gifts and talents and resources and access and knowledge and help and support all the time. Okay? For all of my people out there who are just big feelers and who feel the chaos of the world and who feel like it's your responsibility to fix it and to change it and to make it better, I want you to really listen to this. There is a balance. Because again, the law of this universe that we are living in, that we either break ourselves against or that we align with and then evolve with, is that we are all connected. You cannot destroy another without destroying yourself. You cannot destroy yourself without causing harm to others. So what this means is, when you overgive, when you overextend, when you try to be involved in everything, when you're taking responsibility for the adults in your life and for their pain and their struggle, and you're believing that you are the solution, that you have to be this perfect delivering savior, you are working from shame, blame, and guilt. You are not working from reality. Shame, blame, and guilt says, I have to be the special savior. Right? That's overt and covert shame, blame, and guilt showing up at the same time. That there's something special about me that is either causing all the pain that's happening around me, so I have to fix it. So everyone's pain around me, I have to fix. Or it's that deep fear that if everyone around me is not okay, I can't be okay. So I have to fix it for everybody. I have to be walking on eggshells all the time. I have to never trigger anybody. If anybody's upset around me, I can't be okay. If we look out at the world and people are struggling and I don't feel like I'm doing absolutely maximum everything in the most perfect way to make that better, that I'm failing. We are stuck in shame, blame, and guilt. And we are going to be causing more destruction and more chaos. We are not actually helping when we are moving from that place. And that is hard to hear. But we need to hear it. Because if we really want to make this world a better place, our giving has to include taking ourselves into consideration. You cannot destroy yourself and fix the world. In fact, you cannot fix the world, period. You are not going to be the savior. You are not going to be the reason the war ends. You are not going to be the reason famine ends. You are not going to be the reason disease is eradicated. You are not going to be the reason your family member heals. You are not going to be the reason your partner evolves. You can be a support. You can give what you can. You can give from a place of being resourced and giving from those resources. You can realize, right? For some of us, we need to realize we are taking too much for ourselves. We are living too selfishly. That all of our good deeds are really just so we can get a tax write-off, like that can't be what it is. We need to learn to connect to our humanity where we see all of us as worthy of love and safety and protection and provision. That's reality. None of us deserve to suffer. And we live in a world that doesn't operate that way. So we can be a part of the change. It is very important that you do what you can do in the areas where you can do it to support your community, to support your friends, to support your family, to be there for world issues and to protest and to all the things, without burning yourself out, without expecting perfect advocacy from yourself, without expecting perfect steps, without expecting that I cannot rest until everybody has peace. That's a trauma response. That's working from delusion. That's conditioning. That's a lot of different things, but it's not truth. If you are burning yourself out because you feel like you owe the world constantly, that is not reality. And that is something we need to work on. Because if we're going to give in a way that's actually making this world a better place, we have to give from a healthy place. Which is understanding that yes, we are all connected and we are all autonomous. We don't have control over people. So like I said, you are not going to be the reason someone in your life heals or doesn't heal. You can be a supportive place for when they are ready to take their healing steps. You can be an encouragement. You can be an example. You can provide support or resources or finances when they're ready to take a step. That's all great. But you can't make somebody take a step. You can't heal somebody. You can't be the reason someone decides they want to do the work. You can support people who are doing the work so that you're doing it together. But dragging people is never going to work. Okay? And I learned that the hard way. There is no dragging people to healing. I have never been the reason somebody healed or didn't heal. Hello! So glad you're here. Please listen. You are not going to be the reason someone heals or doesn't heal. You cannot make somebody get on their path. It is never going to come down to you doing it or not doing it, and that's why they did or didn't. You must relieve yourself of that burden. And you must say, okay, I can be a supportive place for when they're ready. I can walk with them when they want to heal. I can be kind to them when they don't. I can just be a safe space. But I can't make someone take the journey. Ever. People have to learn that that is an individual choice that an individual makes. People who want to heal, heal. We can make it easier, we can make it nicer if we work with them. But people who want to heal, heal, generally speaking. And then same with the bigger picture. You are not going to be the reason poverty ends. You are not going to be the reason the war ends. You are not going to eradicate racism. You aren't going to fix the school system. You aren't going to fix your family. You aren't going to be the reason whatever injustice you're seeing stops happening. You can be a part of the reason. You can interact with other people who are doing this work too. You can educate yourself on what's going to move the needle. You can donate to causes that are doing the work. But you can't be involved in everything. And you are not going to be the reason, right? You're not that special. It is important that you participate to the degree that you can. We have to find that balance. I participate to the degree that I am able, without overextending, stressing, and guilting myself, or using it as a distraction, or using it as a way of building up my own self-esteem, or using it as a way of trying to earn my way in the world to rest and to deserve good things. I have to sacrifice and give and do all these things. If that, again, is where it's coming from, it's not coming from a healthy place, and we're not going to have clear sight. Okay, it's their desire or not that pulls them forward. This isn't to say that some people don't want it bad enough. What I mean is that the spark of wanting change is the inception point. Yeah. And like I said, we aren't going to be that spark. We can fan the flame once it's sparked, but we can't be the spark. That's the difference. You're not going to be the spark. You can support the spark when the spark is lit. You can be a kind, safe, loving space when it isn't. And then same with the greater world. Right? The thing that's going to change all the things that are wrong with our system is collective. It's a collective awakening. So sorry if you already said this, but I think it's the idea that one person can or must solve and fix it, and it's an expression of hyper-individualism. Go back and listen, because what it actually is covert shame. Right? The hyper-individualism is a response to I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough unless I'm special. And the thing that makes me special is that I save people. Yeah? That I am a special, empathic, loving being, and that's what makes me worthy of love. When we're finding our identity in that, our goodness, our worth, our value, it's actually rooted in shame. It should be coming from just a natural, this is what you do. I don't identify with it, right? This idea that some of us are empaths and some of us aren't, no, we're all empaths. Every human being has access to empathy. We either have it turned on or turned off based on our upbringing. Yes, it is shame, blame, and guilt that tells us I need to be saving the world. in order to be worthy of love, or to be a good person, or to have an identity. And then we are always going to be working from a place of imbalance and not being healthy. It's covert shame that says I need to be special, and I need to be involved in everything, and I need to be fixing everything, and I need to be nitpicking how everyone else is doing it. That only comes from someone who doesn't believe that they're good enough. And when we believe that we are good enough, when we believe we are good enough, genuine acts of altruism are genuine and they are natural. We want to help people for the sake of helping them, not to feel good about ourselves, not to earn the right to rest. When we genuinely don't live from a place of shame, blame, and guilt, we don't need that to be special. And then we can just do it from a place of actual love and actual care, from actual empathy, not please love me because I'm a good person, because look at all these things that I do. It's covert shame. So if you're working from a place of I need to fix and save and change the world, you're working from shame. If your giving is coming from a place of this just feels like the right thing to do, I want to do it for the sake of doing it. Right? I am not here to be special. This just feels like the right thing to do. I'm not looking for anyone to tell me that my work changed their life, because it didn't. I'm just saying words. If your life changed, it's because you did something. I used to run around like a chicken with my head cut off, feeling like I owed the world absolutely everything. I was rainbow fish. I have to give all of my scales away all the time. And all it did was lead to me getting burnt out and overdoing stuff and enabling people and unhealthy dynamics. It was not altruistic. It was me trying to earn my goodness because I just did not feel good enough. When I started to feel good enough for who I am, the giving becomes natural. You know where you fit. You know where to give. You know how to do it in a way that's boundaried, so you're not overdoing it and you're not underdoing it. That's where we want to be existing from. So that's why, again, the root of all of this, shame, blame, and guilt are always lies. If we don't do that work, we will never be connected to real reality. It is the single delusion that creates all other delusion, and all separation, and all violence, and all fear. It is the one thing. And when we fix it in ourselves, when we change it in ourselves, when we grow past it in ourselves, we will become a totally different kind of human being. Who can learn from reality, who can understand oneness, who can do things from a genuine place, not trying to earn, who can live authentically and know that other people aren't going to get it, and that's okay. Okay? Okay. So let me know what you think. Leave me questions, comments. I love all that all the time. Let me know if you have video requests. I have these videos planned out like a year in advance, so it might take me a while to get to your request, but nonetheless. Okay. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. You're already good enough. So what do you want to give, and who do you want to give it to? From that place. That's true authenticity. All right? Okay. Mwah. Have a good day, week, month, year, whenever I see you again.